You do not need a lottery ticket to buy time. You need a city that respects your paycheck. In too many places, the rent eats the raise, the commute eats the daylight, and the dream of a front door with your name on it keeps sliding 1 year farther away. But there is another map hiding inside the news cycle. It is a set of metros where jobs are steady instead of flashy, where rents are calm instead of chaotic, and where a smart down payment can still beat your lease. Tonight we draw that map. We will call them value metros. Not cheap for the sake of cheap. Valuable because the math of living actually works. We will move with a clear structure. Part 1 sets the framework, the economic, social, and housing signals that separate hype from health. Part 2 builds the short list, the sectors and anchors that create stable jobs without speculative whiplash. Part 3 walks the country region by region and names the metros that fit. Part 4 translates numbers into neighborhoods, the inside the beltway corridors, the street grids, the school zones where a move sticks. Part 5 is your household playbook, how to choose, compare, and negotiate in a market designed for grown-ups. Part 6 is the local leader and builder checklist, how metros protect their value advantage. For the next decade, we finish with an action-centered outrow. By the end, you will have a practical compass and a short list you can fly to, drive through, and decide on. The framework: what makes a value metro? A value metro is not a bargain bin. It is a place where for truths stack in your favor. Economic truth. Jobs are diverse and durable. No single boom or bust controls the weather. When one sector slows, another sector holds. Value metros often lean on eds and meds, logistics and manufacturing, professional services and government, and a growing layer of clean tech or data centers. Wages are not top 20 in the nation, but they are steady relative to rent and mortgage. Social truth. People can form households without drama. Young adults do not have to move 3 cities away to leave roommates behind. Families can find a 3-bedroom without trading a life for a commute. Retirees can downsize near grandkids. In value metros, everyday life is not a luxury product. Housing truth. The monthly is honest. Prices track incomes within reach. New supply can actually reach the market because the rules are clear. The rental market is competitive but not cruel. The for sale market still has starter homes and small town homes, not just luxury plans. Insurance and utilities do not ambush you. Time truth. The commute makes sense, but job change does not require a zip code change. 30 to 45-minute door-to-door routines are normal, not a miracle. Time is part of rent. Value metros give it back. We score a metro with 3 families of indicators. Economic signals. Job growth, quality over quantity, sector diversity, employer churn, new business formation, wages relative to rents and mortgages, unemployment stability across cycles. Social signals. Net migration that is steady, not spiky. Age mix that retains 20-somethings and supports families. School and safety trends that feel predictable. Civic assets, libraries, parks, community colleges used and maintained. Housing signals. Price to income ratios that do not break guardrails. Rents that cooled from their peak and now move with supply. A pipeline of new apartments and townhomes that resets asking power. Healthy vacancy, not abandonment. Missing middle legalization that quietly adds gentle supply. And the cost stack: rent or mortgage plus utilities plus insurance plus taxes. That stays within reach. If a metro clears these bars, it joins the map. The anchors: why these places hold when headlines swing. The difference between a gamble and a plan is the anchor. Value metros share 5 anchors. Anchor 1: hospitals and universities. The eds and meds backbone does not leave in a downturn. A regional medical center and a cluster of universities generate steady employment, research spin-offs, and a constant stream of renters and buyers. Anchor to logistics and manufacturing to point zero. Modern distribution centers, advanced manufacturing, aerospace or auto supply chains, and food processing plants create stable mid-wage jobs. They absorb shocks when white-collar hiring pauses. They also attract a web of small businesses that hire locally. Anchor 3 government and civics. State capitals, military installations, and federal labs keep payrolls steady. They also pull infrastructure dollars that improve roads, utilities, and broadband, which improves daily life for everyone else. Anchor for cost-aligned growth. These metros welcome growth but insist on math. They permit apartments near jobs, allow townhomes on small lots, and keep parking rules practical so projects pencil. They measure success in lived affordability, not in ribbon cuttings alone. Anchor 5 quality of life without the price spike. Parks, riverfronts, trail networks, accessible art scenes, and practical dining. Residents can have a full weekend without spending a full paycheck. Civic life is a habit, not a hashtag. When you see 2 or more of these anchors in the same place, you are standing on a value metro. The map region by region. The section names representative metros that fit the value pattern today. Within each, we describe why the jobs are steady, how the housing math works, and which submarkets often deliver the best mix of price and time. The goal is to build a short list you can test with your own salary, your own guardrail, and your own life. Midwest and Great Lakes. Pittsburgh. Why it holds. Post-industrial to meds, eds, and robotics. University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, UPMC, a growing tech research layer, and legacy neighborhoods with intact bones. Housing math. Starter condos and townhomes near the rivers, modest single-family in first-ring boroughs, and new apartments that are competitive on concessions. Submarkets to test. North Side and Allegheny Commons for urban access. Lawrenceville for walkability at a price. South Hills for family value along light rail. Columbus. Why it holds. State capital. Ohio State University. Insurance and finance. A growing semiconductor and logistics arc. Employers diversified without whiplash. Housing math. Townhomes and small single-family stock within reach for first-time buyers. Plenty of Class A lease-ups with leverage for renters. Submarkets to test. Grandview for urban feel and short commute. Dublin and Hilliard for family life. Easton and New Albany corridors for new builds and job access. Kansas City. Why it holds. Bi-state logistics hub, engineering, food and consumer goods manufacturing. A strong arts and sports identity that sustains downtown. Price to income remains favorable across the metro. Missing middle infill rides within streetcar and bus corridors. Submarkets to test. Crossroads for renters, Waldo and Brookside for small homes and trees. Northland for value plus commute. Indianapolis. Why it holds. Life sciences, advanced manufacturing, logistics rings, and a capital city core. Housing math. Abundant for sale entry points and competitive rents. Commute ring is forgiving. Submarkets to test. Fountain Square and Irvington for character. Carmel for family amenities. Whitestown and Plainfield for job adjacency. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Why it holds. Healthcare, consumer brands, financial operations, logistics at the river and airport. Housing math. Historic neighborhoods with rehab opportunity and first-ring suburbs with yard and price. Submarkets to test. Oakley and Pleasant Ridge for balance. Covington and Newport for river access. Westchester for family calculus. Upper Midwest value with caveats. Des Moines, Grand Rapids, Madison. Strong anchors in insurance, advanced manufacturing, or state and university cores. Housing is steady, though certain neighborhoods approach premium pricing. The value still holds at metro scale if you avoid the shiny few blocks and work the inner ring grid. South and Mountain South. Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Why they hold. Energy services plus diversified aerospace, logistics, and healthcare. Downtown turnarounds created walkable districts without big city prices. Housing math. For sale homes with yards under national medians. Apartments with usable concessions. Submarkets to test. Tulsa Arts District and Kendall Whittier for renters. Broken Arrow and Jenks for families. OKCS Midtown and Plaza for urban living. Edmond and Moore for schools. San Antonio. Wyatt Holtz. Military city with medical and cybersecurity growth. Tourism and hospitality stabilizing the service base. Manufacturing along I-35. Housing math. New construction townhomes and single-family at reachable numbers. Class A lease-ups compete. Submarkets to test. Medical Center and Alamo Ranch for job access. Stone Oak and Helots for schools and value. Brooks for growth corridor plays. Birmingham and Huntsville. Why they hold. Regional medical and legal hub in Birmingham, aerospace and defense in Huntsville. Housing math. Urban neighborhoods in Birmingham with rehab upside. Suburban stability in Hoover or Trussville. Huntsville with new construction that must compete on price. Submarkets to test. Avondale and Crestwood in Birmingham. Madison and Monrovia in Huntsville. Greenville Spartanburg. Wyatt Holtz. Upstate South Carolina's manufacturing spine, auto supply chain, and a livable downtown. Housing math. Townhomes and single-family new builds remain viable, though popular pockets price up. Submarkets to test. Greer for job adjacency, Malden and Simpsonville for family math. Downtown small apartments for renters with leverage. Mid-Atlantic and Appalachia. Harrisburg, York, Lancaster Triangle. Wyatt Holtz. State government, healthcare systems, Amish country tourism, and logistics corridors. Housing math. Tight but sane. Townhomes and small single-family still attainable. Submarkets to test. Camp Hill and Mechanicsburg for schools and commute. Midtown Harrisburg for renters. York County for value. Raleigh-Durham value adjacent. Raleigh and Durham are strong but closer to premium. The value play is often in satellite towns and commuter rail arcs where new supply meets demand. Without shock. Submarkets to test. Clayton and Garner for value near Raleigh, Mebane and Hillsborough for balance near Durham. The US 1 and US 70 corridors where townhomes multiply. Northeast value inside legacy grids. Buffalo, Rochester, Albany. Why they hold. State and university anchors, medical systems, and steady if modest private sector. Housing math. For sale entry points that still work. Apartments that compete for good tenants. Submarkets to test. Buffalo's Elmwood and North Buffalo for urban life. Rochester's South Wedge and Park Avenue. Albany's Delmer and Colony for family math. Mountain West and Southwest. Albuquerque and El Paso. Why they hold. Federal labs, defense, healthcare, and cross-border trade. Housing math. Modest prices, low carrying costs, and apartments priced to fill. Submarkets to test. Northeast Heights and West Side in Albuquerque. East El Paso and Upper Valley for commute convenience. Colorado Springs value relative to Denver. Wyatt Holtz. Military and aerospace stabilized payrolls. Housing math. Still more attainable than Denver with townhomes and small single-family options. Submarkets to test. Powers Corridor for new builds, Old Colorado City, and West Side for character. Pacific Northwest value tier. Spokane and Boise value with caution. Recent growth pushed some pockets toward premium, but value remains at metro edges and in missing middle infill. Submarkets to test. West Spokane and Spokane Valley for balance. Boise's Meridian and Cuna for family math. Gulf Coast and Central Texas value tier, Corpus Christi, Baton Rouge suburban nodes, Waco and Temple Killeen, anchors in ports, petrochemicals, universities, and military medical. For sale and rent remain workable with disciplined picks. Insurance and heat costs are real. Choose elevation, envelopes, and efficient systems. The point is not to memorize a list, it is to learn the pattern. Stable anchors, reachable prices, livable commutes, and a pipeline that keeps owners honest. Name the pattern, then test it with your paycheck and your priorities. From Metro to Map, how to choose the right neighborhood. A Metro that clears the value test can still break your budget if you pick the wrong block. Here's a neighborhood method that works. Start with your commute triangle. Place a pin at your primary workplace or most likely job cluster. Place a pin at your partner's job if applicable. Place a pin at a non-negotiable school or care location. Draw a triangle that keeps each point within 45 minutes door-to-door at real traffic times. Your home must live inside this shape. Layer school and safety trends. Look for districts and zones with stable enrollment and clear improvement or steady performance. Read trend lines, not one-year spikes. Visit a campus after school and watch dismissal. You learn more in 10 minutes of sidewalks than in 10 pages of websites. Overlay the housing ladder. Walk the blocks where a small single family sits next to a duplex and a row of townhomes. These streets age well because they can absorb life changes. Blocks of only one product type risk stalling. Check the cost stack on paper. For each candidate, compute mortgage or rent plus property tax, insurance, utilities, HOA if any, and commute cost. If the stack exceeds 30% of gross income, step back unless a near-term raise or house hack is certain and legal. Inspect envelopes, not finishes. A solid roof, insulated attic, updated windows or storm protection, and a right-sized HVAC save you more in 5 years than new countertops ever will. Your true monthly includes energy. Walk 3 times. Morning rush, after school, and evening. Listen for trucks, trains, and sirens. Look for crosswalks that actually let people cross. Count the number of neighbors on foot. A livable life shows itself. Ask about local concessions. Even in value metros, apartment lease-ups and new townhome phases offer credits. A month free, a reduced HOA initiation, or a contribution to closing costs can turn a maybe into a yes. Always ask. The household playbook turned a value metro into your value monthly. Your job is to convert promise into math. Use this playbook. Set your guardrail. Cap principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and HOA at 30% of gross income. If you have childcare or heavy debt, aim for 25 to 28%. Write the number. Decide buy or rent by the 3-year rule. If you plan to stay 3 years or more, buying a small and smart home can beat renting, especially where prices track income and carrying costs are tame. Under 3 years, rent for flexibility and save aggressively. Shop money like a pro. Collect 3 lender quotes with identical assumptions. Ask for rate, APR, points, lender fees, mortgage insurance structure, and a written break-even if you buy points. In value metros, sellers are often willing to fund a temporary buy-down or closing costs. Ask for a credit before you ask for a price cut. Use product types that stretch your dollar wisely. Townhomes and small condos deliver location and predictable upkeep. Single-family homes on small lots deliver space without sprawl. Missing middle options: duplexes, triplexes, carriage houses give you a second door. House hack without drama: a spare room with a door, an above garage studio, or a lawful basement suite can offset the payment. Use conservative rent assumptions. Write a real lease. Keep reserves. Time your lease or closing. Late fall and winter often soften rents and motivate sellers. End of quarter or end of builder phase can unlock credits. If you can shift your move by 2 weeks to catch a better window, do it. Test the real life. Do a grocery run at your Target store and price your weekly basket. Drive your commute on a weekday at 8 a.m. and at 5 p.m. Talk to a neighbor on the sidewalk. This is your life preview. Keep a reserve. 3 months of housing costs in cash or quick access funds. Your first deep repair will arrive on its own schedule. The reserve is the difference between pride and panic. How metros protect their advantage: a checklist for leaders and builders. Value is not an accident, it is maintenance. Here is how regions hold the line. Legalize the ladder. Permit duplexes, triplexes, courtyard apartments, cottage courts, and ADAS by right on most residential lots with clear form standards. Middle scale supply keeps rents calm and gives first buyers a path. Build near jobs. Zone and pre-permit small multifamily and townhomes along job corridors and transit spines. When workers can live near shifts, wages go farther and streets work better. Price impact by size. Charge development fees by square foot, not by door. Do not punish small homes for being efficient. Protect the cost stack. Coordinate with utilities to reward energy-efficient envelopes and right-sized HVAC. Support weatherization for older stock. Lower monthly energy is affordable housing that never expires. Standardize and speed approvals. Pre-approved plan sets for missing middle types. Use digital reviews and clear checklists. Predictable timelines help small builders compete with deep-pocketed players. Nurture the anchors. Partner with hospitals and universities on workforce housing within a bike ride or bus ride. Align apprenticeships and community college programs with local employers so residents graduate into nearby jobs. Measure and publish. Quarterly dashboards on rents, price to income, pipeline, and commute times build trust. Residents and employers make better choices when the numbers are visible. Keep trees and front doors. Invest in street trees, sidewalks, crosswalks, and small parks. A value metro earns that title because daily life is pleasant, not just cheap. A short list, a weekend, a decision you can live with. The country is noisy about housing. Value metros are quiet about living. They will not trend because steady never does. But if you are building a life and not a brand, this is your moment. Here's your next weekend plan. Pick 3 value metros from this map that match your field and your weather tolerance. Book a cheap flight or a long drive. In each metro, choose 2 neighborhoods inside your commute triangle. Walk morning, afternoon, and evening. Talk to people watering their lawns and standing at bus stops. Tour 1 apartment lease up and ask for the honest monthly after concessions. Tour 1 townhome builder and ask for a closing cost credit. Tour to small single-family homes and ask for last year's utility bills. Run the cost stack on paper against your guardrail. If it fits, and the sidewalks feel like a life you want to live, you have found your value. If not, move to the next neighborhood. The right block is still out there. When you choose a value metro, you are not choosing small. You are choosing enough. Enough job diversity to sleep through headlines. Enough housing supply to keep owners honest. Enough parks and schools and diners and libraries to make a Tuesday feel like a place, not a pit stop. Your future does not require a miracle. It requires a map, a guardrail, a weekend of walking, and a decision made with both head and heart. Pick your corridor. Do the math. Ask for the credits. Plant your flag on a street where the commute is short, the rent is calm, and the people at the coffee shop learn your name before the algorithm does. That is a value metro. That can be your address.